So after drawing all the border lines, I'm going to go in by measuring my shoulder. The shoulder we're using is 15, so we have 15 divided by 2, that's 7.5. I added my half inch, making me to measure 8 inches. So I'm going to mark out 8 inches till my armhole length. How do you get your armhole length? So we have bust divided by 4 minus 1. So our bust is actually 35. 35 divided by 4 minus 1 is going to give us 7.5 thereabout. So the length of what I measured is 7.5. So I didn't just stop there, I measured all the way down. I add like 3 points to make out my one line. So don't say because you know what to do then you just chalk out one side and your ruler. Trust me, pattern takes time and you have to be very careful. So I'm marking out my 7.5 on all sides. I'm going to draw out a straight line to make out my neckline. So from my neckline is where I'm going to be connecting my armhole. From my neckline is where I'm going to be connecting my armhole. So we have something that looks like this. So now the next thing to do is to measure my armhole length, which is 7.5. So after doing that, can you see that's why I have my neckline? Then I point out my breast point, I point out my under bust length, and I point out my waist, then the full blouse length. So after doing that, I'm going to do the same on like 3 different points so that I can connect the dots and know exactly what to do. So while connecting the dots, I have like 3 points. You said I'm having 3 different points so that I can make out a straight line. So I'm still pointing the breast point, under bust length, and the waist plus the full blouse length. So now the 3 points I made on different levels, I'm going to be aligning them to make out my straight line. So the next one after the neckline is my breast point. So after doing the line for the breast point, I'm going to do the next one. The next one I'm going to have is going to be my under bust length. So I'm going to align that just the same way I did for the breast point. So after doing that, I go to the waist and align the point again to get down my waistline. Then after doing that, I draft out my full blouse length line. That is where the length of the blouse ends. So we have all our lines in place. Now I'm going to label my lines: the neckline, the breast point, the under bust length, the waistline, and we have the full top length. So now we now go in to modify our points. We'll go in to modify our points. So the next thing I'm going to do now is divide my armhole length into 2. You know I had 7.5. 7.5 into 2. Then I divide it. That's where I'm going to mark out to make sure that I eliminate excesses from the armhole. If you are still having straps around your armhole, this is how to correct it. So I'm going to take out 1 inch and connect my 3 points with my French curve. So you can see the curve is on the neckline, is pointing towards the half, the 1 inch we took out from half of the armhole, and is going back to the shoulder, exactly where we have the shoulder, like the wideness of the shoulder. So you can see the 3 dots are connecting. That's how you have your neckline. You go down by ½ inch on your shoulder to slant for your shoulder slant. So when you go down by ½ inch, you slant to where you have your neckline point. Your neckline point wideness is 3 inches for all adults. So that is where I'm going to label my yoke. So if you don't know how to draft out your yoke, this is exactly how to do that. So the next thing I'm going to do now is what I'm going to now go in and start my like that. So the first thing I'm going to do is my nipple to nipple. My nipple to nipple is 6, so I'm going to be adding ½ inch for sewing, because I'm a very forgetful person. If you are just like me, I would advise you to do whatever allowances you'll be needing on the draft, so that you do not forget and your measurement do not run small. I measured my 3.5 all the way down, and I'm going to align it with the ruler on all sides. So here is my straight line going up, going up. Good. So from the very next thing I'm going to do now is what I want to go in and make it that. I'm going to go in from my under bust length to, I'm going to take out 1 inch from my under bust, then I'm going to take out 1 inch from my waist, from both sides. Please go through it. From your under bust, you take in 1 inch from one side, you take in 1 inch from the other side as well. Can you see it? So I'm going to now align those 2 points together. I'm going to align those two. That's me taking out a dab, because I want to get my corset cup from that area. So now the next thing you're going to do is what? Align it to the down point, then you align the other side to the down point. Exactly how it should look. So the next thing now to do is what? Get my curve, my bust area. You can see you are in control of your curve. However you place is how it's going to place. So you are in charge. You are the one to know exactly how you want your curve to come out. So I'm going first from this side. I aligned it to my breast point. Then I'll do the same thing for the other side. I'll align it to my breast point. So the same thing I did here is the same thing I'm going to do on the upper part. The upper part, I'm going to what? Align my neckline together. Can you see where I'm getting my neckline from? I went back to where the armhole ended, and then I'm coming in because I want a sweetheart. So I'm going in just like this, and this is how we have it. So now I'm going to now align the upper part. I'm going to take out 1 from this side. I'm going to take out ½ from the other side. So can you see that? So I'm doing the same for the other side. Now I'm going to align it to my breast point. Can you see I'm not using the straight? There's no straight part, so you have to make sure that you're using the right place on your curve. The breast is usually very curvy, so you don't want to use the straight part of your ruler. So you do the same thing for the other side. You are in charge. The ruler is not to control you. If you don't like what it's giving you, turn it to the other side. It has different forms, so you are meant to be in charge. So this is what the neckline, the bust area is supposed to look like. If you are not having this, please go in, erase and redraft. So this is what it's supposed to look like. So now the next thing for me to do is to what? Do my measurement. The very first place to measure my bust from is where your neckline is. So I'm going to measure your bust from here. So my bust, I already did my division. You divide by 4. So I divided by 4, and I'm going to add my allowance. You know, I took out a dart on the upper part of the bust, and I took out a dart by the under bust and the waist. So those darts, I'm going to be adding them back. Do you understand? So I'm going to be adding them back, which I already did to my own measurement. So you are in charge of your measurement. If you took out, for me now, for the upper bust, I took out 1.5, I added back 1.5. From the waistline, I took out 2. I'm going to add that back. And for my under bust and my waistline, I took out 2. So I'm going to add that back. Then for my blouse hip, you can see from my blouse hip, I added exactly what I took out from waist the same way. I added the 2 inches on the down part because you also took out a dart there. So it's now left to you to now add your allowances. Normally you're supposed to add extra allowances. Can you see I'm trying to cover that side. There is no straight form on any human body. I'm trying to use the curvy side to make sure that all my sides are curved. So this is what the front bodice is supposed to look like. And can you see, this is what the front bodice is supposed to look like. It's supposed to make it come out. Can you see? So now I'm adding an extra allowance for my sewing by the side. I'm adding extra allowance for my sewing at the side. So I'm adding the allowances by the side. So that's my allowance. So normally when you are doing corset, you know you're supposed to take out at least 1.5 inch or 1 inch from the waist side on both sides. For me, I already know that I'm supposed to take out that. So I'm not going to be adding this allowance. I'm just adding the allowance so that you see what you're meant to do for your own. I usually don't add allowance because when I'm cutting out my fabric, I usually leave half inches on all sides already. Do you understand? So that's how that's supposed to be. So this is the front side, and I hope you all understand. So if there are any questions, please chop.